Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at an Open Ultra League team that helped this trainer climb over 300 ELO by triple hard countering Poliwrath. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Mars with Rings, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, the team consists of Cresselia on the lead, opting not for the Legacy Grass Knot, but instead for Moonblast and Future Sight, with Golisopod and Ampharos in the back. So if your opponent has Poliwrath, you're going to be in a pretty good spot, as it is absolutely nowhere to run. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's go Poliwrath hunting in the Open Ultra League. Hopping into the first match, and the target has been acquired, Cresselia into Shadow Poliwrath. Cresselia continuing to farm, opponent banks an Icy Wind for later and save switches into their own Cresselia. Gonna go for the Moonblast chip and dip strategy here. The Moonblast connects and gets a rare attack drop as well. So a little bit of good luck to start off the day. We're gonna see the Liquidation fired off here into the Cresselia, and the Liquidation will connect, doing some sizable damage. This is a very comfortable no shield for the Golisopod. Future Sight is a very powerful move, but of course that attack drop means that it's very comfortably survived by the Golisopod. This is only going to be the Grass Knot, so we will see the no shield, and now Golisopod looking to massively overfarm. I really like this play. So this way, if the opponent sends in something that isn't the Poliwrath and it's weak to Liquidation, a Liquidation is loaded. Opponent chooses to send in the Poliwrath, so it looks like whatever is in the back may not have been a fan of Golisopod's energy either, as they're forced to burn a shield. And now a decision, do you send in the bulkier Cresselia, or do you opt for the fast move pressure here? Going to send in the Ampharos. Opponent blind through their energy here, and they went for the Icy Wind as the Volt Switch sneaks through. Ampharos continuing to farm. This is enough energy for a Scald. Ampharos is going to let that through. The Scald barely will not KO. This is only a Brutal Swing, but it could potentially be a Thunder Punch, as the moveset has not been revealed yet. The opponent investing both shields into a Shadow Poliwrath, but the Poliwrath doesn't really have a ton of play against this entire team. The Icy Wind will land. We see a switch by the opponent, potentially hoping to catch a Moonblast, but the Moonblast catch is unsuccessful, and now it's Future Sight time. Future Sight connects, dealing big damage to that Shadow Charizard. We see the shield from the Cresselia. Does the Charizard bait? Yes, they do. Cresselia able to make it to the Future Sight. This Future Sight will be able to pick up the knockout. All that's left in the back is the Poliwrath. There's no way it's getting to enough charge moves, and the opponent concedes the match. And in game number 2, we see another Shadow Poliwrath. Opponent save switching into a Pidgeot. Pidgeot not known for its flexibility, and now it's going to be walled by Ampharos. They go for the Feather Dance. That will, of course, come with the guaranteed 2-stage attack drop, but that's not really a problem for the Ampharos. Ampharos deciding to go for a Trailblaze there to raise its attack back, so now the Ampharos is now at -1 attack. Throwing a grass move into a flyer, definitely not something you see every day, but Ampharos at the very least will be able to exit this matchup, not totally debuffed, and can potentially output a potential Trailblaze onto the Poliwrath. Opponent, are they going to be sending in the Poliwrath here? No, they're going to send in the Swampert. The rest of their team takes either single or double super effective damage from Trailblaze, so they're forced to burn a shield on the Swampert, and Swampert's energy is just going to be completely walled here by the Golisopod. Golisopod, of course, not the tankiest Pokemon around, but the type resistance is incredibly handy. Back in comes the Poliwrath. And I've got to admit, after seeing Poliwrath in nearly every battle this week, whether it is going to be the Open Ultra League or of course the Great League Remix Cup, it is really nice to see Poliwrath just look absolutely helpless. We see another Moonblast debuff as well. What are the odds? I mean, I think it's like a 1 in 8 chance, maybe either 12% or 10%. Either way, an incredibly small chance to get that debuff, and it happens twice in 2 games. Oh my goodness. The opponent running Power Up Punch on the Poliwrath. Back in comes the Swampert, and the opponent resigns the match. Picking up a decent lead in the next match here, Cresselia into Dragonite. Opponent is going to save switch into their own Ampharos, and we will see Cresselia staying in here and no shielding as the Brutal Swing connects and does quite a lot of damage. Cresselia, very nice charge move timing here, throwing in the middle of the Volt Switch, going for the harder hitting Future Sight. The Future Sight connects, and that will leave its mark. We will see the Ampharos firing off the Brutal Swing, winning charge attack priority. Brutal Swing not going to be enough to KO, so Cresselia is able to win the Zero Shield here with a Moonblast. Opponent is going to let that through. If the opponent goes for a farm down with the Dragonite, Dragonite's energy would be a bit difficult to deal with. Cresselia trying to make it to the Moonblast, does not get there, and this energy on Dragonite is going to be very, very difficult to deal with. The Golisopod gets sent in here, but Golisopod not the tankiest mon around. That Dragon Claw does quite a lot. Golisopod continuing to farm. Golisopod going for the Aerial Ace. This does some very valuable chip damage to the Dragonite. We will see the no shield from the Dragonite. Dragonite firing off another Dragon Claw, and we will see the shield from the Golisopod. Golisopod continuing to farm. Oh no, it's a Magnezone in the back, and Magnezone up a shield is looking quite threatening in the endgame, as it has an energy lead as well. The Brutal Swing connects. That does quite a lot of damage though. Magnezone has a massive damage output, but that of course is going to a bit be cancelled out by the fact that it is extremely frail. The Mirror Shot does get the debuff. Opponent is going to full send the Wild Charge, and the Wild Charge does get the shield from the Ampharos. We see the shield from the Magnezone. Magnezone firing off more energy here. Ampharos will be able to resist the Wild Charge, but it still does so much damage. The Ampharos running out of HP, firing off the Brutal Swing, picking up the KO, but the Dragonite is going to get the farm down here. Back in comes the Golisopod. Golisopod needs to make it to 2 Aerial Aces here to get this win, and Golisopod just not going to be able to have enough energy as the Dragonite, excellent energy management from the opponent as they take that game. Hopping into the next match, leading Cresselia into Defense Deoxys. Opponent save switches into their own Golisopod, and that will swiftly be answered by the Ampharos. Mistiming on this charge attack by the opponent as an entire Volt Switch is able to sneak through. The Liquidation is tanked, and now Ampharos going for the guaranteed attack boost from the Trailblaze, getting the shield as well, and now the opponent has to deal with a boosted Ampharos on their hands. Firing off the Brutal Swing, that is going to get the final shield. Opponent going down 2 shields here, and they have a ton of energy. Shielding up, it's the Aerial Ace. Opponent makes the last second charge attack. Is an Aerial Ace going to be enough to KO here? They did make the Liquidation, and Liquidation picks up the knockout. Is this in a range where a Psycho Cut down is possible? Cresselia is going to go for it, trying for the Psycho Cut farm down, getting the Psycho Cut farm down, and the opponent concedes. Best guess, Poliwrath in the back. We see same leads in the next match, Cresselia versus Defense Deoxys, but this time the Deoxys will stay in. This is a very neutral matchup across the board, a true battle of the bulk between these 2 Psychic-type Pokemon. Cresselia strikes first with the Moonblast. Deoxys is going to be returning fire here. Deoxys goes for the Rock Slide, and the Rock Slide does some very solid damage as well. Cresselia opting to throw as soon as it gets its energy, whereas the opponent is consistently looking to overfarm quite a bit before they go for their next Rock Slide. Very comfortable no shield here for the Cresselia. Opponent goes for a Thunderbolt. They are choosing to run a non-Psycho Boost moveset of Thunderbolt and Rock Slide. I can't remember the last time I have seen the double nuke Deoxys. We're going to see Cresselia continuing to farm the switch into the Ampharos as the opponent is going to be firing off that Rock Slide. And the opponent now going to send in Galarian Stunfisk. The Ampharos going for the Trailblaze here. Would have been nice to build up to the Focus Blast, as Focus Blast could have potentially threatened a shield, and only building up to 4, that's a very safe no shield for the opponent. Rock Slide will not KO here, and Earthquake will. Respecting the Earthquake, but the opponent went for the Rock Slide, and now going for a boosted Brutal Swing. This will actually do some pretty nice damage to the Galarian Stunfisk. Opponent is going to let that through. They're firing off energy, and we are going to see the no shield from the Ampharos. Stunfisk goes for the Rock Slide. It does not KO. The Earthquake definitely would have KO'd, maybe getting a little bit greedy there, and that's some very nice damage onto the Stunfisk. And now we see the switch into the Golisopod. Golisopod going to be shielding up the Rock Slide. Opponent, oh no, with a fraction of HP left, they make the last second Rock Slide. That does quite a lot of damage. What does the opponent have in the back? Whatever it is, it has 2 shields, and it's Wall Rain. The opponent tries for a catch, they do not get the catch, and now, somehow, this might be possible. Despite the fact that Ampharos was put in an incredibly difficult position, being stuck going up against that Galarian Stunfisk. The Icicle Spear not going to be enough to KO. We're going to see another Aerial Ace fired off here by the Golisopod, and the no shield by the Wall Rain. We see the switch into the Ampharos. The Ampharos does not get the catch. Oh no, this is very unfortunate here. This match has been going on for a while. You have to wonder if the timer will eventually become a factor. Cresselia going to be firing off the Moonblast. Moonblast is going to be no-shielded by the Wall Rain, and there's the timer. And this could be a win on timeout. Opponent needs an Earthquake to KO. They go for the Icicle Spear. It does not KO, and a 2 Pokemon to 1 timeout victory. What a game. Moving into the next match, leading Cresselia into a regular Ampharos. Opponent is going to be firing off Brutal Swing. And again, Brutal Swing does a sizable amount of damage, but in this matchup, you would definitely prefer to be the Shadow Ampharos, as the 2 Brutal Swings plus the Volt Switches can be enough to knock out, whereas as the regular Ampharos, you're going to be able to see Cresselia able to withstand the double Brutal Swings and still have a decent amount of health remaining. Going to fire off another Moonblast here. Moonblast should pick up the knockout here. Oh, it barely does not, but 1 Psycho Cut more does. In comes Skeledirge. Continuing to farm up is the Cresselia, and Cresselia able to make it to the last second Future Sight. This will do quite a lot of damage. Opponent is going to let that through. We see a switch into Ampharos as the opponent fires off energy. Ampharos puts up a shield. It's a Disarming Voice bait. Ampharos, very nice charge move timing here, going for the Brutal Swing as soon as it's reached, right before the opponent makes the Shadow Ball. Skeledirge over farming. We see the no shield now from the Ampharos. Will this be the Shadow Ball? No, it's another Disarming Voice. And unfortunately, throwing on alignment there is the Ampharos. The Brutal Swing will be shielded, but giving 20 extra energy here to a Skeledirge is always a bit of a risky idea. And now, is it possible to get a farm down with this Golisopod? In comes the Golisopod, and 3 Shadow Claws do pick up the knockout. And in the back, what do you know? It's a Poliwrath. Poliwrath again. I mean, they must have thought, I've seen the Cresselia, I've seen the Ampharos, surely Poliwrath has to have a good matchup in the back, but no, this team triple hard counters Poliwrath. There's just nowhere for it to go. And we see the Golisopod in this endgame. Poliwrath going for the Scald. It's not gonna matter. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Picking up a great lead for Cresselia in the next match as it leads into Tapu Fini. Opponent is going to save switch into Ampharos. Ampharos going to be hit with a Future Sight. Future Sight does get shielded up by the opponent, and Cresselia continues to farm. As we've seen, the non-Shadow Ampharos not particularly threatening in this matchup versus Cresselia, as Cresselia is able to withstand both charge attacks and make it to a second Future Sight if it wants to. Cresselia continuing to farm up here, making it to another Future Sight, and this Future Sight will do quite a lot of damage. Opponent is going to let that through. Cresselia trying to make it to another charge move. Ampharos not going to let that happen, and firing off the Brutal Swing to pick up the KO. And now we've got the mirror, Ampharos versus Ampharos. Opponent fires off some energy here, and we will see a no shield as the Brutal Swing connects. Continuing to farm, getting the farm down here. Opponent, they send in Tapu Fini, so they are completely core broken by Ampharos with their remaining Pokemon. The Trailblaze connects, boosting its attack. In the back, it's a Shadow Zapdos. You gotta respect the spice from the opponent, but they are not going to be pleased at the damage. Oh my goodness, Ampharos on a rampage here. Zapdos fires out the Drill Peck. Ampharos committing the shield. Ampharos exiting with so much energy. Back in comes the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini going to be hit with the Trailblaze. They commit the shield, but the Ampharos will not be denied, taking over in this endgame, boosting its way through basically an entire team and taking the win. Hopping into the final match, leading Cresselia into Nidoqueen. As the Nidoqueen in the Ultra League, this is a very uncomfortable matchup. Opponent, however, making a very nice catch as they catch the Future Sight onto their own Cresselia. Continuing to stay in this matchup for now, looking to farm up some energy. Opponent is going to fire off a move, and honestly, this is perfectly fine. If you want, you can bank the move here and then switch out, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I do like the play there. The opponent was able to make a very nice catch, so rebank the energy, understanding that you can absorb damage very comfortably on your own Cresselia, and then you can switch out, and in this case, send in Golisopod. Golisopod firing off the Liquidation. Liquidation will connect. We do see the defense drop, and go going for this aerial ace on what may have been charge attack priority as I didn't see a sneak. No, it's a catch. I stand corrected. I am recording these battles after getting back from Portland. I was up at 2 a.m. So, sorry, 3 a.m., not 2 a.m. So, unfortunately, I am a little bit out of it here. As we see the opponent, I believe they went for an Earth Power there. So, potentially a double nuke Nidoqueen as they fired off an Earth Power to pick up a knockout. And now we're back in the Cresselia mirror. Cresselia versus Cresselia, trading Moonblast. Opponent getting very low. The switch into the Ampharos. Oh my goodness, but the Cresselia on 1 HP, able to make it to the last second Moonblast. In the back, it's another Tapu Fini. And Tapu Fini not having a good day whatsoever in these final matches, going up against the Ampharos. The Trailblaze gets shielded, but look at the Volt Switches here. The Volt Switches absolutely shredding through the Tapu Fini. You can shield the Trailblazes, but you cannot shield fast moves. Look at the Volt Switches go, able to make it to a double boosted Brutal Swing. This is going to be resisted, but it's not going to matter. Getting the victory here, and I believe the 5-0 set as well. All in all, I do like the decision making behind the creation of this team. Picking a Pokemon like Poliwrath, which as we know is absolutely everywhere this season due to the fact that Scald got buffed and now has Icy Wind, and building a team to just say, you know what? Poliwrath doesn't get to do anything versus this team. It doesn't matter where they have it, on the lead, on the swap, as a closer, wherever it is, it's going to have a bad matchup. So that way, you can almost kind of take advantage of the fact that a lot of players are trying to run a Pokemon as powerful as Poliwrath and use it to your own devices. And from the notes here on this battle submission, it seems like it was working out pretty nicely for this trainer. As they mentioned, as we saw, they close out on the 5-0 set, and they've gained 300 ELO with the team. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.